What's going on?
Hey, my friend, how are we doing?
Doing good. I got to ask you a question. You ever been up on a big trade, then watch it all disappear the next day?
Oh, you know I have. You know I
Well,
have.
this video is going to fix that.
Heck yeah. Welcome to Beyond the Trade, where the levels don't lie, the trades hit hard, and we're here to cut through the noise. No scripts, no safety nets, just raw market talk. Lock in. It's time to go beyond the trade.
The information discussed on Beyond the Trade is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear on this podcast should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions.
Well, would you look at the market today? Would you look at it this
Oh,
week? I know we're a little late, so this is a Wednesday one. We fell victim to the AWS outage. Our
yeah.
software Riverside uses AWS. We were unable to record on the Tuesday as planned. So here we are on a Wednesday. Oh wait, Monday as planned.
On
Here we are
Monday,
on a
yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Here we are on a Tuesday. Got my days mixed up.
Midweek bonus.
Yep. And then we'll come right back at you on the weekend. So, I mean, man, what an interesting market to talk about. We've got first off, got to catch up on some trades that were winners. When do you take profit? When do you take profit, right? And I know
Yeah.
you've got some to talk about. I've got some to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, it's. I think it really does come down to what are you trading? How are you trading? Are you trading options? Are you months out? Are you trading weeklies? If you're buying commons, I mean, every one of those things has a little bit different scenario. But obviously, you want to take it when you're green. Don't let a green trade turn red, and we hear that all the time. But I have certain percentages that I look for personally.
Yes. So there's a number of ways that people well, sounds like your dryer is done.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It sounds like that sounds like you've got some laundry to fold. But
I
there's a
do.
number of different ways that people will think about it. Some people will think about it in terms of, okay, I'm trying to hit these different percentages, and then I'm more of a I scope it out on the chart, and I place price targets on the chart based on support and resistance levels that I have established as key levels for me.
Hmm.
And but of course, you have to understand the fundamentals behind what you're doing, right? What you're trading, right? So, one that we're gonna get into in this episode for sure is NVTS, right? I don't enter something unless I spend a lot of time doing research on it and knowing the fact that the fundamentals behind it support the move that I want. And you know, I can't disagree with people that say these AI stocks that I've been in have are a little bit elevated, right? They're coming down a little bit now, but they've been elevated and they're probably above their current value, their bubble-ish. I wouldn't say it's a bubble yet, but
No.
they're inflated valuations. So that's kind of when I start to think, is it time to take profit?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's more like I said, I think I would assume, at least I hope everybody has levels and uses levels to some degree because you're getting in for a reason. Yeah, it could be an indicator, but typically for me anyway, it's because a level has come up. But as soon as I get in, the very next thing I do is set another level above that. Where's the next level? But the market at all time highs, it's not even possible sometimes. You're kind of guessing, looking for big round numbers. How close are they? And there's just so many different factors.
Yep. And more importantly than knowing your levels to the upside or downside if you're short, more importantly than knowing your levels, key support or resistance, resistance levels that I guess that you want to break to take profit, it is more important to know your risk level,
Yeah.
right? It is very important to know I give up this trade. I will stop out of this trade. I will sell this trade for a loss. at this point in time, and you need to have a very clear vision of that. Because a lot of times, I mean, think about people who entered Rivian. I don't know. It was just a random one that I thought of. Granted, the Rivian chart kind of does look decent right now, but think about the people who entered Rivian way up here in the 100s, and they never had kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna get down. If I get down 20%, I'll sell. Okay, well, think about, not only did you lose 90% of your value because you can always re-enter a trade, right? Not only did you lose that value, but even if it does go back up, think about the time value of money that you missed out on. So
Exactly.
very, very important to remember how much you're willing to give up in that trade. And you have to also take into account, I know we've talked about this before, but if your position is down, 15%, for example, it's going to take about 20% to get back up to that same number, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing as volatility. Like, why do triple leveraged ETFs always degrade in value over time? Because if you go down 1% and then you go up 1%, you're still net lower than where you started, even though it was the
Right.
same percentage mark.
It's something like 40, 45% down requires 100% up to be back to break even.
Yeah.
There's a little chart going around
Well, it's
online that I remember
50.
seeing.
It's 50, right?
I think it's actually less than 50 to get back
Wow.
to break even.
But that's kind of the thing. Knowing your risk is very important. And also, even if you're up on something, you've been up on something, and you've ridden it all the way, uh, and you've done well. There are always things that we can be looking for to know when to sell, and that's what we want to talk about in this episode.
Hmm.
Um, I want you to talk about hymns for sure, Acro, but for me, I am looking at NVTS here, which is one that I spoke about on Friday, uh, Friday the 10th, which is when our last episode was, and on Friday, NVTS was closed at $8.23. Um, and then by Thursday of the next week, it was at 1680. So, wow, number one,
Yeah, nice play.
great trade. And I posted, I researched. ChatGPT makes research so easy. ChatGPT makes research so easy. Literally use it, and if you don't understand what these things mean or the fundamentals, just ask ChatGPT. It'll explain it to you. But for me, I saw a 100% return in 4 days, and I saw it was kind of struggling with this $15 level. Um, I thought getting over 10 was going to be hard because this was an old SPAC. That was a place where I was going to take profits. I had planned to take profits around 10, start taking profits around, which was a 25% gain, which is great. For me,
Oh
maybe I
yeah.
take a quarter off at 25%. And then another level I was watching was previous wicks. When you see big wicks, that's where price moved quickly, and where there was a change in supply and demand. Those are ones I pay attention to, the tip of wicks, because where price reaches and automatically went the opposite direction are ones that you need to be aware of for your position. So another one probably in the mid 12s, and then probably right about 15 was another one, and then 16. I mean, it kind of gets a little, there's not much to work with back in levels from 2021. So
Right.
I kind of, not that I panic sell, but I just said, man, I mean, I'm selling at 14.5, 15.7, a couple days later. To me, that was a great trade, a quick trade, got out. And I did that because, you know, I had a plan, and in fact, it far exceeded my plan, and that's not reality. That's not normal.
Yep.
Therefore, I took what I got.
And you get too many people, I think, that get hung up on trying to catch the bottom and getting out at the top, and that's a fool's game that it's going to make you go broke. Take profit, put it aside. I mean, heck, if you're making, you know, regardless of what size your account is, if you're making 2-3% of your account every day, take a look at what that adds up to at the end of the month.
Yeah, I mean, it's what is that? What is that compounding? By the way, that is not normal. If you're doing 2% on your
Right.
account daily
Right.
is not to be.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be in the 40% range by the end of the month.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You know,
pretty
it's not
unbelievable.
realistic. I think you can look at dailies, but you got to look more long term. You know, what would you, whether it's percentage or dollars. I mean, if you've got a goal that I want to make $500 this week, all right, then break it down. It's $100 a day. If you're down one day, well, then you need to make it up the next. It's not as easy as it sounds, but it's a good way to break it down. I like working with smaller numbers first than the big number. To say I want to make $100,000 in the market seems huge,
Yeah.
but if you break it down to each trading day, it's a much smaller number, and it seems much more obtainable.
I love that. And something I also like to keep in mind when I'm thinking about my trading days like that is make sure that I'm not letting those goals kind of bog me down. If I don't hit that goal, then I'm kind of imposing like a self punishment. I
Yeah.
don't want to feel that, and that self punishment or self guilt or whatever we want to call it. I want to make sure I'm not imposing that on myself. But there's plenty of famous people who have spoken towards goals and how having goals are very important in life. If you don't visualize something and have a plan for it, you know, it may never happen, but you can will things into existence. You really can.
Yep, you gotta see it to believe it. In a different way. Is if you can't vision it, it's probably not going to happen. Make a vision of it happening, and you got a much better chance of it happening.
Yep.
And if you're in a play that you're up green quick and early, and it make you feel better to take some profit and lock it away.
And Acro, the way that I felt, and I'll get into my other stock. Obviously, this this thing looks like a barcode, but APLD has been. I mean, I've been banging and slamming and drilling the table on this one for weeks and months and whatever. And so they had earnings on October 10th. We got up into the $40 range. Holla holla! I've been in since 10. I know there were people earlier. Congrats to those. Um, and it really struggled with this 40 mark. Really struggled. And for those who are watching, you'll see, there's 5 straight days of large upper wicks on the top of the daily candles. I know a lot of people look at line charts on the stocks app on your phone. Guys and gals, please, for the love of everything good, get the TradingView app, learn how to read a candlestick chart, and understand what wicks mean. Please.
Yeah.
So this right, the wicks from October 10th to October 16th, rejecting $40, told me, and then I just had NVTS. I mean, these were my two biggest positions. Had NVTS rip up on me 100% in a few days. I said, whoa, let's chill. And so I took a good amount of profit here too. And so the what I want everyone to take away from this is do not get married to a position. Even though this is my baby. This is my baby. Love APLD. I'll invest in APLD for years. But that doesn't mean I can't sell it and take some profit and then reinvest at a lower cost, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Granted,
I've been, me and him's I've been in and out of it 8 times this year.
right. So and we're going to totally get to that. It's Acro's turn. It
No,
was
no,
kind
no.
of
You go ahead.
it was
I
this
don't have a
was
lot this week. It was pretty slow for me to, I made a couple of daily spy trades and did my hymns thing for the most part. It was,
sometimes slow is good.
yeah.
I mean, so I also did do covered calls on APLD and NVTS before I ended up selling most of them. I ended up closing those. I did November 21st covered calls. I ended up closing those out, the MBTS ones um, for even, and then APLD I made a few $100 on. It wasn't anything crazy. Um, but yeah, granted, please, when it comes to day trading, also, please know your tax implications. If you don't hold your position for over a year, you're going to have short term capital gains, which are a higher percentage than long term capital gains. And most people listening to this podcast probably know that. So, trading in and out of stuff, you are going to have taxes. So, make sure you know about that and remember to set aside money to pay them. Um, but yeah, I don't get married to a position. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I wanted to say is it's kind of the tale of two cities. And NBTS ripped on me real quick, and then APLD kind of rejected a 40 level. If you look way back on this thing, I mean way back. I'm talking 2004 on this chart. This thing has been to 40 before, and it had trouble with it back in 2003.
Wow.
So um, I, I look at that. I zoom all the way out. So I took that. You have to use all the information that you have at your hands and make your decisions. So that's what I did. Don't get married to a position. It's probably one of the biggest things I want to say there.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, and it's again, it's all mental. That you're. I can't think of many that I've been in, got out of that I didn't get back in at a equal or better price at some point.
I
I mean,
mean,
don't talk about Tesla a year or two ago. First, yeah, you're not going to see that again. But a month ago or whatever, they always have their ups and downs.
let's talk about hymns. Let's talk about hymns and about what you told everybody and how you
Yeah,
capitalized.
yeah. Covered calls, and when it gets near 60, it seems to want to bounce back. And if you look at, let me pull mine up here, the chart of hymns on the daily, it shows exactly that. For many days it would bounce from about 51 to 60, 51 to 60. And I saw my cover calls. Some of them I'll do low at the bottom, but most of them lately I've been taking near the top. So when it's at 58, I'm doing $60 covered calls with like next month's expiration. It
Yep.
pays a good premium, $10 per contract. So you're getting 900 to $1,000. And lo and behold, it hits 60, 61, and it goes right back down to 50. When it gets down there, I'm getting out of a contract that's still got 5, 6 weeks on it and keeping 80% of that money.
So
So you
so
saw,
real life example.
I just did, well, the ones that these actually were these, no, I closed it out Friday. I had a covered call at 65 that paid me $9.80, so $980. And I
Yep.
bought it back for $2.20.
Wow. Wow.
You know, I,
Nice.
I could have let it gone and hope that the thing is when you start doing cover calls, you'll notice that the movement when you start getting that far out of the money, selling it or buying it back today versus waiting a week or two, it doesn't make a lot much difference because you still had so much time on it. The big moves will come when you're getting close to expiration, of course. Now, if these had expired the end of October, I might have kept the 65 to squeak another 10, 15% out of it. But, again, take your money while you can, get out of it, because tomorrow it could be right back up to 60.
Yep. Yep. It
And that's
totally
kind
could.
of where it went. It went a little bit further down than I thought it, or I think I had 51. 51 to 50 is kind of that range where now it's sitting right there again. And
Yep.
I expect it to start moving back up. Um, I'm not big on selling puts, but it may not have been a bad spot here to do that. I'm not that comfortable with it yet, so I stick to covered calls since I've done them enough.
Yeah, the thesis behind selling puts is just you're fine taking them at that price. And so
Right.
So I, sell
So yeah, that
$45
was
puts on
yes.
him.
The stock is down, but my average now, because every time you get paid on a covered call, it reduces, rather than them giving you money into your account, they reduce the cost of the shares that you hold. So my average now on HIMS is down around like 34.45 a share.
Nice. So that's when you buy back, or when you buy back the covered call, it does that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Nice.
So for every 100 shares you have, if you made $500, it's going to reduce the cost that you have by $5 on each share,
Yeah.
basically.
Love that. Love that.
So yeah, I
Well,
mean that gets you more, makes you feel a little bit better too when you're, you know that you're way up on it, and like now it's down. Where did it close today? 49.50, somewhere in that range.
yep.
A little bit further lower than what I anticipated, but I'm still $11 in the green per share.
I love that. I love that. See, and this is the greatest part of having both me and Acro on here is because I'm talking about breakout trades and momentum and AI and all this stuff and just getting pure appreciation in the stock value and when to sell there. And Acro has got a cash cow of a money generation machine here where he is holding shares that he likes long term. He likes him
Hmm.
long term, right? And
That's the way the only reason I would do covered calls is, I mean, obviously you want to own the shares. You need to own the shares. So if you've got 500 shares of something, you can sell up to 5 covered calls. But it's got to be, something that you have confidence in, something you've followed and you know how the stock is moving, so you know when to get in and when to get out, or when to buy and when to sell the covered calls. You don't want to buy 500 shares of something at say $40, and you just own it, and now you're going to go out there and put $45 covered calls, and you haven't watched the stock, and you don't realize that, well, wait a minute, it just came from 30 3 weeks ago. It could go back there just as quick. So you got to be careful and know the stock. That's probably the best advice.
we've talked about that before too. Whenever you trade something enough or whenever you watch it every single day, you really get to learn its personality. And that's the opposite goes for when you're trading a new stock that you're not used to. Knowing the personality of that stock is going to be something that you won't you won't know at first, and then
Hmm.
you'll learn it over time. So it's a cool process trading just in general. There's so many things to learn on a daily basis, and each time you think you know everything, you're proven once again to not
Yep.
to not know really a thing.
I think looking back on this, my best play of the week last week was Tuesday Spy.
Okay,
If you look at it on the 5 minute,
5 minute Tuesday. All right,
at
Tuesday.
20 minutes in,
Last the Yeah, last week. Yeah. 20
yeah,
minutes in. Okay. Yep. I see you.
it took that dip, and it dipped right to
Tipped right to about 654.
right now. But when I'm looking at it on with the RSI dipped below 30 right there at that,
Yep.
right there at the third
I'll put
candle or
my
so.
I'll put my RSI on. Boom. Dipped below 30 right here. On about 15 minutes in, and then
So
I assume you bought calls there.
as soon as it broke, I bought calls at 654.50 was
Yep.
where it was when I got in.
Probably have. Do you have
And
extended hours on or off?
I have them on. You got to have them on for RSI to work the right way.
Gotta have them on. All right. See, there you go. Key point. We want your RSI video. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm
Good.
working on it.
All right, so here it is. Yeah, went below. And then for those listening, SPY is at about 653 here. It dipped 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the market. RSI broke below 30, was a confirmed 5 minute break below 30, which is what Mike has spoken to as his key bread and butter, and then
Yes,
goes.
sir.
I assume what you did is you took the calls on the 5 minute close where RSI was back above 30,
Yep.
which put SPY right at about 654 and rode it. And I'll tell you what, SPY ripped SPY ripped straight up to 660, bounced
Yeah.
around and went up to 665. So what was your trade there?
My calls were 657 calls. Or nope, I'm
Okay.
sorry, 658 calls. And the reason was that's right about where the top of the orb sat at the 5 minute orb. So right where the market opened is kind of
Yeah.
where I looked at them and okay, it should get back there. So I bought calls in that range.
Nice.
And I kept them all day. I mean,
Wow.
rode them most of the day. That was a pretty big one.
Hey, I think this was the day of the great cooking oil war of 2025. I think that's what day this was. You remember that?
The cooking oil war.
When there were proposed bans on imports of
Oh,
coconut. Did you buy the dip?
yeah.
The great cooking oil war. You see a lot of volume there at the end of the day on Tuesday, October 14th.
Something different every day, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
But no,
exactly.
that was my again. Usually happens first part of the morning, first half hour to an hour. RSI seems to be a lot more powerful. I see it and I don't even really question it. I just buy. But now if it goes the other way on me right there and at about 10%, I've got my order in to get rid of it. So on these though, we're talking about taking profit. I did take profit at the opening wick. So when it got back up to like right around 657.50, I was getting rid of 20%. My next level, when it stalled out right around 660, I got rid of another 25 or 30% there. So I'm half out.
Okay. Great.
And then I rode the other half. I never had a reason to get out of it. Pretty much, I
Yeah.
think I actually did. My last one was at 2 o'clock. I got out completely. It just sat there and then it started chopping.
Right before the cooking oil. Nice. And so what expiration were you taking? You already said you were taking the
This was on Tuesday, so these would have been Friday expiration.
okay. And so you took 655 strike, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And SPY went up to
No, no,
665?
I took 657 strikes.
657. Okay, but still,
Yeah,
and SPY went up to 665.
right.
What was the percent gain on those?
Those
How much were those contracts? Probably like
they were like in the
$4, $3.
80% range.
Nice. Wow. How much did that? Those were big cons.
What was the date on there? It was the 20 or the 14th.
These are all important variables when you're trading options, particularly day trading. Picking your strike I love what you said. It's okay. The reason that I picked that strike, the 657, is because that's about where it opened. So I figure it can get back there after this
Right.
dip. And you had your strategy. You took it on that strategy confirmation with a 5 minute candle and then rode it back up. Love it. And you took
Yep.
profit when things started to stall and you got out before the worst war we've had in years. So
Yeah.
I'm
When we talk about levels, they don't necessarily have to be levels that you have set, drawn a line across your chart. In this case, one level is RSI. I'm using that, and that's a variable, right? It'll change throughout the day based on the movement of the stock. But then when you play a 5 minute open orb, you've got two more levels there instantly from your first candle. Those are important levels. You also have your level of what was pre-market low and what was pre-market high, also important levels. So at the beginning of any day, you've already got 4 to 6 levels that you didn't have to set. The market set those for you.
enough said. Enough said. And
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 you
and
look at that, where did it go when it first ricocheted down at 1150? Well, look at that. It's right back at the pre-market high
Yep.
from
Yep.
or after hours the night before.
Oh, 1150 pre-market high. Are you talking about the?
After hours. So it was the after hours from Monday.
Yep. So about 662, 662 to 663.
Yeah. But
Huh.
see, what I use, it automatically draws that line on here. It's a dotted dash line for me, so
Oh,
I don't even
cool.
have to. I don't have to set it. I know that that green dotted line is the high since yesterday's close, so that covers after hours and pre-market, and
Cool.
then it sets a red line below that that tells me what the low was after hours and pre-market. So
What's
those,
that indicator called?
um,
We could tweet it
it's
out.
called extended session high low.
Extended session high low right here. Freedom trade. Right here, 1.6K people. There you go. Bang. Walk us through these lines. The red lines on here are going to be your pre-market low. Yep.
I have a hard time on yours seeing exactly what it is. It's on a screen that's got horrible contrast, but
Oh, no worries.
it should be, yeah. In mine, it's a red line that gives me the low, and then I've changed mine around where on the high I've got it as a green dash line.
Got it.
Okay, see it there, yeah.
Yep. Cool. Great.
But again, it's automatic. It's levels that you don't have to think about, you don't have to worry about, but you're going to see them. So
Yeah.
with that, your orb, you've got 4 levels already in the morning before you've even done anything. It's there for you.
Nice. Yeah. And in this picture that you're seeing here, the green is the pre-market extended hours, meaning both
Yeah.
pre-market and post-market from the previous day, highs and lows. And so that as you see, they do come into play very often. So, um, yeah, I mean, guys, there's a lot happening. We've got Beyond Meat running like
Oh my
crazy.
God. Should we do that one now or save it for Sunday?
I, You know what? We'll save it. We'll save it
Okay.
because we're covering last week right now. We're covering last
Yeah.
week. We're talking about taking profit. So, I want to step back for a second, and I want to say, I know that I've been a preacher of us being in the fifth to sixth inning, right? I still think we're in that range. I still think maybe the sixth right now. I'm getting ready for a seventh inning stretch, and then a nice little Santa ride off into a beautiful
Yeah.
night. I think this is a much needed breather that the market is getting, and I want everybody to beware because I always say party, 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 but close to the door, right? You got to do that, and everybody's going to rush for the exit someday and just hope that you're one of the first ones. So
One
that
thing I would watch for is we get back to having an open government when the data starts coming back out again. Because if it's not where people expect, it's gonna shake the market one way or the other. I think.
well, yeah, I would. That's actually an interesting topic. I would assume we're not getting any data right now. Um, so that will be interesting. When was the what's the latest on the timing for the government opening back again?
There isn't one that I'm hearing about.
Well,
There's nobody even talking at this point. It seems like.
well, do remember that the summit for the Asian summit, where our president will be meeting the president of China, um, is going to be October 30th, I believe, 30th through November 1st. So remember that there may be some tumultuous waters leading up to that,
Yes.
and I want everybody to just have that on their radar. That's a really big catalyst. And then something that I don't feel great about, Acro, is the lack of volume in yesterday and today's candles. If you look, it's probably three quarters or less of recent volume. And I have, if you're, for those who are viewing, you'll see my uh, orange MA. This is a 10 day moving average of volume on the bottom here, and for reference, it's about another third higher than the volume that we've had in the last 2 days. So that's why I keep it up there. That's a easy little indicator you can put on a trading view. But it's safe to say when there's low volume and it's right back up to all time highs, it's you're kind of, I think about it like somebody who's on the top of the hill, the king of the hill, right? I think about the king of the hills who's sitting up there on the top, and he's got a baseball bat or a hammer or something, and if somebody pushes right through it and rips right and just completely flies, you'll fly right past him and you'll be the king of the hill. But if you tiptoe, creep walk, kind of scared, low conviction, go up there, hey, what's going on? He's gonna go bonk, you
Yep.
know, he's gonna smack you right back down. And so I'm worried that we might see a smackdown candle here, because this is, anyone who studies volume at all does not like the way that this looks. You can go to different charts and you can maybe feel moderately better about it. But I mean, you look at QQQ, same thing. We're sitting right at all-time highs, and it's just creeping. Not encouraging. You look at IWM, it's good to look at small caps, especially right now. They're going to be the most interest rate sensitive. It was down 50 bips today, but literally the lowest volume day since August. But but just know that this is not a tell all be all, we're doomed, right? What it means is there's just indecision. There's no conviction in the move, but it means that the move is generally upwards, which is good. So
Yeah. Yep.
if you want it as to know that the bulls are in control, you want to know that the market is generally drifting upwards, right? Whenever it's inactive or bored, you want, or in snooze mode, that it's generally going upwards. That's great. So that's an encouraging sign. But like Acro said, any bad data, and any bad catalyst, any bad earnings,
Well, and your
it
point
can really
of
shake things up. Which, by the way, Tesla is
uh,
tomorrow.
exactly, yeah, and U.S. and China getting together to meet on somewhere around the 30th. What's happening the day before that? We got Fed interest rates on Wednesday of next week. So we've got a lot of stuff. I mean, this is the time that I would look at shoring up some of my plays, taking some profit maybe, so you don't get surprised if there's no rate reduction next Wednesday and Trump and Xi can get into a fist fight in the middle of South Korea or something. I mean, who knows at this point? The man just took a wrecking ball to the White House today. So
It's 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 certainly the market is still certainly in buy the dip mode. There's no doubt about that. We were kind of supposed to talk about this past week, but still, regardless,
yeah,
it's I think that the market bought the dip last week. We bought the dip. There was a little bit of a scare, but I think people have super short memories in the stock market, right? Super short. And so
I have for sure. Again, but that's the way I play. I'm pretty much I'm not holding long on most anything that I'm doing. I mean, yeah, I have hymns in there. However, I still look at those covered calls as I sell them tomorrow. Even if I just sold them yesterday, I may buy them back tomorrow if the money's there. I do SPY. I forget about what happened yesterday as soon as I wake up tomorrow, because
and
for me it's day trading on the buying contracts on one stock that usually I'm only playing the weeklies, or if it's something that I'm really interested in and I think, man, this thing's been beaten down a little bit, it's going to run here in the next week or two. I don't know exactly when. Then I'm buying 2 months out, so that's a little different. But I
yeah.
don't typically. I can't remember, like SPY. I had to look back and see that little arrow I placed there, and I placed the white arrow there, so I remember. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this. because I forget. I mean, I move on. I don't sit there and linger.
Yeah. And be a student of the market, right? And do what it tells you, and do not try to tell it
Yeah.
do not tell it what it is trying to say to you, because it doesn't care what you think. It's going to keep going in the direction that it chooses. So,
Yep.
um, I think that does it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the start of this one was a little late with all the technical problems, and so it's a little bit hard for me to think back. Like I said, I just talked about. I forget about what I did yesterday. It's not that important, you know. I'm looking at what's going on tomorrow. But I think this coming Sunday, it'll be a fun one with what's going on this week so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep your head on a swivel. Take profits when you need to,
Yeah, and
and
if any of you guys have added something in the comments of what you do to take profit, what are your levels? What makes you decide that it's time for me to lock a little money away? Let us know, and let the other guys that are reading the comments know.
or shoot, what did you take profit on? What'd you take profit on? Tell us your gains.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us, brag on yourself a little bit. You deserve it.
Who knows? You may be featured on the next episode of Beyond the Trade.
Hey, well, I think we should give some shout outs. We should give some shout outs. I
There you
like
go.
that. Well,
There you go.
all right, get to the comments. All right, man. Well, thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you very soon.
We'll see y'all on Sunday.